Right, thought I'd do another video on random thoughts, just because I thought the one I did yesterday went quite well. Not sure what I'll talk about, but I guess I'll just jump into it, see what comes to mind. There's an interesting fact. I was out buying tobacco, and recently they had a new law in the UK where all the tobacco containers have to look exactly the same. So they've got government mandated packaging, and it's this horrid brown. In fact, I'll show you. It's it's this thing, and it's just this weird browny green. I think it's supposed to look not appealing, and they're literally mostly telling you how it's going to kill you, which is fine. But interestingly, I guess they did this to cut down on the amount of people smoking. But the funny thing is, because they've standardized the packaging, they've made it actually cheaper because companies don't need to design new packaging. So tobacco's actually become less expensive, which is pretty funny. So I'm not convinced it's going to have the desired effect. So that's relatively entertaining. What else? I've been thinking about other less random topics to do once I actually get a kind of legitimate flow going here, and it's not just me sitting there going, what should I say next? What should I say next? You know? And I want to do one on, I've got a few that I want to do on. I want to do one on just random ideas I've had over the years. That might end up being this one, honestly, because I have had quite a few. I want to do one on ego and basically how I think the ego works and why we have it, and its uses and its disadvantages, and how to kind of keep it in mind. So I want to do a video on that. I want to do a video on how everyone is an asshole to someone, or is perceived as an asshole to someone. I don't think there's anyone in the world who has nobody thinking they're an asshole. It's like that quote where it has a beautiful woman, and it says, no matter how beautiful they are, someone somewhere is fed up with their shit. Which is usually true. So I want to do a video on that. I want to do a video on random coding projects I've done over the years. Done quite a few. But unfortunately I don't have the code for a lot of them, so that's a bit of a shame. I want to do some interesting stories about things that have happened while I've been working over the years, because I've worked in quite a few places. It's all been programming, apart from my first job, which was gardening. Totally doesn't fit me at all. My garden's a total state currently. But when I was 17, I worked as a gardener for half a year maybe, because I left school when I was 16. And then did nothing for half a year. Then I was like, right, I'd better get a job. So I got a job in a garden centre where I just listened to hip hop on my headphones and watered the plants and cut the bonsai in the greenhouses. So that was a pretty chill job. But then one of my friends was like, you should try and go back to school. So I did, and here I am. So that was pretty fortunate. Who knows what I'd be doing today if I hadn't. So Yeah, there's a few interesting stories about those days as well. I actually got quite a lot of interesting stories because I've lived uh well, I think it's an interesting life from my perspective. I've got 9 siblings, so I come from quite a large family, and you always get some interesting stories with large families, I think. And I moved around a lot as well, so when you move around a lot, you tend to experience a lot. And then I've been switching jobs quite a lot, so I wonder if those two facts are tied together. Like, because I moved house a lot as a kid, I'm moving jobs quite a lot. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Definitely possible. Um, yeah. So, yeah. They're like the main videos I want to do currently. I want to do another one called, God, what was it going to be called? It was going to be all about objectivity and how I don't think it exists. Uh, so I want to do a video on that. It's quite a complex topic though. It kind of ties in with the conversation that I had about logic though. So I might do that sooner rather than later. Um, yeah, I don't know. But for now, I think I'll try and think of a few of my interesting ideas over time. I was talking about some of them in work today. I went for lunch with some of my colleagues because it was nice and sunny. It's like the sunniest it's ever been. Well, maybe not it's ever been, but definitely it's ever been this year. Maybe last year. Irrelevant. Um, I was talking about a few of my crazy ideas because we were talking about space and we were talking about how far away the moon is from the Earth and whether it was possible to be closer to the moon than someone on Earth, which we obviously decreed was not possible. But that got me thinking about my idea for a space elevator, which I came up with when I was maybe, I don't know, pretty young, which was basically the problem I have with space elevators is you need to build them. And so they're gonna always have like that structural problem because they're gonna have to go so high. What you could do is you could put, and I think this is something people have suggested, is you could have like an orbital platform going around the Earth and have like a long cable coming off it. And then that cable would, you just go up that and that would be the elevator. So that could work. My idea was a bit more extreme. I didn't like the idea of a cable coming down to the Earth because you've got wind and stuff and you've got weather, and it just seems like it'd just be too much hassle. So my idea was you take that cable, you make it much longer, and you have the Earth here, right? Let's say this is the Earth. You have the moon. What you do is you put a platform orbiting both. So you build a platform on both ends, and you have them in low orbit with the Earth, like right at the top of the atmosphere, where there isn't much atmosphere. You have the platform there, just floating around, and you have these cables connecting it to the platform on the moon, which again wouldn't necessarily have to be on the moon. It could be doing the same thing. It could be just in the orbit of the moon, but close, so that gravity's still really pulling it down. Because then you've got both ends pulling away from each other, so your rope is going to stay nice and tight. You're not going to have to worry about that. And you could get a plane. You know, you get the planes that go up into like not out of the atmosphere, but very close to the top. You could use those to get people and resources to this platform that's just floating around the Earth, following the moon, and then just fire it off. The problems I saw with that idea were the cables. What if they break? But you could have multiple cables, so I don't see that being an issue. Otherwise, it'd be an issue for spaceships. You need a lot of resources to actually make the cables, but you could actually build them on the moon and then start feeding them back to Earth. So that could work, because I bet the moon's got a ton of resources on it. It must do. If they reckon that the moon formed when something came in, hit the Earth, a bit broke off, and that's what the moon became, then the moon must have all sorts of shit in it. Unless it's not. Today I was arguing for the sake of arguing that the moon is a big ball of water. My colleague was like, no, because they fired a rocket at it. And to see what was underneath the surface. But what came out of the rocket? Ice. So really it just backed up my stupid point. I like doing that. I like to come up with a really stupid concept and see how far I can push it. Because it keeps my brain going, trying to argue these ridiculous things that could not possibly be true. But then sometimes they turn out that nobody really has any rebuttal to them. And they're the ones that I really think about and go, interesting. And then try and figure out if it actually would be feasible. That's where most of my ideas come from, me just playing devil's advocate at an extreme level. Which I think's worked pretty well. I mean, I do talk a lot of shit, but it's generally at least founded on something and I can usually back it up. But I think that's just practice. I think that's why I work better in conversations, you know? You have a bit of a back and forth, which means I feed off what the other person is saying to me, which I do very well, I think. But when I'm just talking on my own, I've got to feed off myself. And that's a bit more difficult because I already know what I've said and I've already thought about what I've said. So I find it harder to keep it going, you know? But, yeah. There was the space elevator. I came up with an idea for how to be seen as a god. You know, when I was in school, this is going to sound crazy. When I was in school, I used to call myself God as a joke, right? I would be like, I am God. I'm talking about when I was like 12, 13. And a few of my friends really liked that I went around calling myself God. And so they asked if they could be like my messengers. And I was like, yeah, okay. Why would I say no to that? And one of them just went around preaching that I was God, which was pretty entertaining, but kind of weird. The other one, the other one was extreme. He used to run around telling people that they had to convert and believe I was God, and he used to chase them with like a compass, you know, the mathematical compass, with the point on it that you use for drawing circles. He used to chase people around with that, saying, "You will convert, you will convert." It was really funny. Didn't last, obviously, but it was pretty entertaining at the time. And when I was older, I started thinking about the manner in which you would start a cult if you wanted to, and have people believing you're a god. But that's actually quite a lengthy topic, so I think I'll leave that for its own video later on if I'm feeling up to the task. I've just reached this video, just realised this video is at 14.5 minutes, so I'll probably end it here. I want to try and make them like 15 minutes, unless I'm talking about something really crazy, but I don't think anyone would listen to me for more than that just now, so yeah. I'll probably record multiple videos tonight. It's Friday. Don't have to go to work tomorrow. That's nice. And it's a bank holiday, so I don't have to go to work on Monday either. So great. So with that in mind, I'll catch you guys later.